well.
The EDS lads tonight had an excellent showing of themselves. I just don't think that they necessarily did anything above and beyond that would put them in contention for Saturday's game. So yeah,
No.
excellent, very happy. League Cup, it's a fan favourite, it's a City favourite obviously. We've won the last 4 in 4. So let's move on and let's talk about Chelsea, the potential usurpers and heir to the throne that are Chelsea. Chelsea have absolutely taken as many points off us as they could in recent games, beating us in the Champions League final, obviously, still hurts. And in the league game before that, or was it the cup game? One of the two, whatever it was. Maybe it was the league and the cup game that they beat us.
League and cup.
Yeah, exactly. So, last 3 games have all been big fat losses for Manchester City versus Chelsea. Chelsea are maximum points from the start this season. They've got a striker, something that we haven't got. Have we got any chance on Saturday, gentlemen?
I think the way Chelsea play, teams have a chance. The thing that's stubborn about Chelsea is they're doing what champions do. They play bad and they can win. And they're very resolute at the minute. Anyone who watched that Villa game knows what I mean by that. You know, Villa peppered their goal for about 5
There's the
minutes.
Villa game, but the one that stands out most for me, Martin, is the fact that they went to Anfield and took a point with 10 men.
10 men.
That's what champions do. I'm not writing City off. I'm not saying it's all doom and gloom, but I'm just saying that champions can go to places like Anfield and come out of there with a point. That's when they're looking at the season before it starts. They say, right, let's win our bread and butters, let's win our home games, and then when our head-to-heads against the Big 4, Big 6, whatever you want to call it, let's at least take points off them. Now they've been to New White Hart Lane, taken 3 points.
Local derby as well.
Yep.
One.
And they've been to Anfield and taken a point. So there'll be a lot of smug Chelsea supporters, and rightfully so, because they're doing everything right this season domestically.
Do you know what might help us this weekend is if you look at the last 3 games, we've tend to go in as favourites, where I think this time Chelsea on their own patch probably are slight favourites, and we've gone in as a little bit of an underdog. In this one, looks like we have got injuries going into this game. We've got Rodri as a doubt, Zinchenko's a doubt. So it might be Cancelo back at left back again. Walker's sort of stop start with his form this season. So right now, Man City look like they're sort of not hitting top form. But the funny thing
out of
is,
sorts, right? We're a bit out of sorts. I go back. Do you remember that game at Stamford Bridge where Kevin De Bruyne scored the winner, and it was a beautiful winner from 25 yards out, cutting in from that left hand side. I felt almost like we were underdogs on that day as well, and we got the result. We got the result. So nothing's off the table. Kevin De Bruyne seems to be coming into form. Phil Foden is certainly playing himself into form. It'll be great to see him starting again. What's interesting for me about that is, though, and we've sort of played this season so far without Foden and De Bruyne featuring massively. Where do they fit into the team? Because Gabriel Jesus, the first couple of games, nailed on. Sure start on that right-hand side. Raheem Sterling's sort of very inconsistent at the minute, struggling a lot. Ferran Torres didn't have a great game against Wycombe. Still, he's played decent, but he didn't have like a worldy game. So do we see Phil Foden playing 9? Do we see De Bruyne playing 9? Do we incorporate those players? Are they sort of guaranteed to be on the team sheet at the minute, Phil Foden and Kevin De Bruyne?
Well, for me, I remember a video you did, I think it was last week, and you said about Grealish, De Bruyne, Bernardo, Foden, all in the same team, and it will give defenders nightmares. I think we will see that this weekend. I think this weekend we will see Grealish, because I fully expect Gundogan to drop out. This could be the opportunity.
My nightmare, Martin, you've just said the operative word there, nightmare. My nightmare is that he puts Gundogan at 6.
Yes.
He's done that before, and it doesn't work.
Well, he did that against Chelsea last season.
Yeah. But will he have learned
and it
from
didn't
that?
work. Well, it doesn't matter whether he's learnt from it, because Pep is the master of not learning from lessons. So it's all well and good saying that you'll get Grealish, Bernardo, Foden, De Bruyne, and let's say Gabriel Jesus is that front five. But if Gundogan's the anchor to that, squeaky bums.
Yes, big time for me. Because if you look at Ilkay Gundogan's best form is when he's been more in the advanced role. The trouble is, you look at that advanced role at Manchester City, it's a little bit of a full car park. Everybody's there. De Bruyne, but now everyone wants to play that role.
But the big concern with Pep is that he likes putting him in the 6 role. And that's the last thing we need after the last performances against Chelsea with Gundogan in the 6 role. It's sort of been the undoing of us. So,
well, yeah, like when you look back on that Champions League final, what everyone said was we didn't have that defensive midfield player. That's where Gundogan was operating in that game.
I'm not trying to be doom and gloom, but I did mention in the last video that I'm almost edging my bets by thinking that Pep might try 2. He might try
double pivot,
the double pivot. Yeah. Now, if Pep plays Gundogan and Bernardo there, I'm happy. I'm fine with that. But if he plays Gundogan and De Bruyne there, I think we're shooting our own foot a little bit. He could try Cancelo in there with Gundogan, but listen, Gundogan is the player that drops out for me, but that means Pep's going to play him, unfortunately.
Well, I'm going to say something now that people may not remember. I remember a game against Arsenal at the Etihad a couple of years back where Bernardo played that sort of deeper line midfielder. And I thought it was one of his best games. And for me, Bernardo's got that energy to possibly do that. So could it be a total wild card where you see a Bernardo doing that again against Chelsea? You know,
I think you'd have to have a more defensive player alongside him.
He has got it in his locker, Martin, but Ryan's absolutely right. He won't do it on his own. He will. If Pep's going to do it, he'll put someone in there with him, and it's more than likely going to be Gundogan.
An attack, aren't you?
Yes and no. I think that De Bruyne, Foden, Gabriel Jesus, and Grealish are more than capable of still doing the job. But for me, the Chelsea game of all games is won and lost in midfield, and they're not without Kante.
And the problem is with Chelsea.
That's the player for me that gives me nightmares is N'Golo Kante because he is so good.
I think you said it, Rob. There is this thing, and I've even said it, that Pep will tell everyone it's one game at a time. But it's not really. No manager in football looks at it as one game at a time. We've got PSG and Liverpool as well. So Pep will have all this in his mind. Pep will be sat there with his little computer and team sheet and everything and trying to figure out what's when, how and where. Now, could Man City go to Chelsea and quite easily win? Yes, we've done it. We've done it when the chips are down. And last season for me was a big result at Stamford Bridge and was what went us on to kickstart us to become champions. And unfortunately Frank Lampard lost his job on the back of it and they brought in Tuchel. The only thing is at the moment, Thomas Tuchel seems to be Pep's kryptonite. There is always one manager for a couple of years that is Pep's kryptonite. So you're totally switching it back on Tuchel himself.
You say that, man, but I don't think Tuchel's necessarily the problem. I don't even rate him that highly, personally. If you look at the last 2 games against Chelsea specifically, the Champions League final, where he didn't play defensive midfielder for some reason. There were other reasons for that game going wrong, and then the league game against Chelsea. If you're saying about throwing out a wild card, that was a wild card, where he played the 3 at the back. Rodri was pretty much the only midfielder. You had Sterling and Torres as like the attacking midfielders with Aguero and Jesus up front, and then the fullbacks operating more as wingers. It was such a bizarre game.
It was a bizarre.
And I remember us being we were so exposed in that game as well.
Speaking of Raheem Sterling, I think Sterling needs not to play against Chelsea.
I don't think he can be in
contention. I think there are other games for Raheem Sterling to play in, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't want Raheem Sterling to play against Chelsea. I don't think he's at that. I don't think he's at the races with regards to Chelsea at the minute. I think Chelsea are a team that they're already full steam ahead. Now Chelsea might run out of coal and the furnace might simmer and simmer down at some point during the season. But right now, Chelsea are intercontinental ballistic missile full force.
I mean, you just said about Sterling there. I don't think Sterling will play. I think Sterling will probably play against PSG.
I think he'll play PSG.
Let's be honest, I don't think he'll play Anfield either, because we all know Sterling at Anfield just doesn't turn up. So I don't think Sterling will play in the next two league games. I think he'll be saved for the PSG game. So Sterling, we don't have to worry. Not worry. It sounds awful. I don't mean worry about, because Sterling's a very, very good player, a very good player, who is just absolutely bereft of confidence at the moment. He has none. And I don't think you should pile it on him by throwing him in the deep end.
Can I ask you both a question about the weekend?
Yeah.
Offer you a point now. Are you like me and biting hands off? Or do you think throw the die, I reckon we can sneak a win?
Do you know what? I would throw the die. I would. Because the scary thing is, to me, is a 6-pointer already.
Ryan, and
I've said we're winning, so
okay. And the follow up to that question is you just said there about it being a 6-pointer. Is this a game we can afford to lose?
No, it's a must not lose for me. And we cannot put daylight between us and Chelsea.
And is there potential? You might be able to point an example. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Has Pep Guardiola ever played for a draw? And is that something we might see at the weekend?
Yeah, first leg against Tottenham, he played for a 0-0 draw. It was absolutely horrible to watch. And we went out.
I don't think he did, Ryan.
He did. That was playing for a 0-0
Martin, you are outvoted on that one. He did play for a draw at Tottenham in the Champions League. Absolutely. And Ryan is quite right that was horrible. So that's my big concern is
as well. Maybe I'm going back to the missed penalty and everything else in that game. So
if we scored that penalty, it was a stroke of genius. It was a stroke of genius if we scored that. But yeah, and that is my biggest fear this weekend, that Pep might actually play for a draw. And I don't know why I'm thinking that way. It's just a thought in my head.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I get it. Maybe it's me in my own head. Pep and playing for a draw doesn't tend to generally be in the same sentence. But I do get you thinking.
And a league thing as well. Like, you can make up for a defeat in the league more than, like, if you lose in the cup over 2 legs, it's a lot worse than that point
I would agree with Ryan if we didn't have Liverpool straight after. This is my worry which is why I think it's a must not lose, is because you've got Liverpool at the weekend. Now take away last season's performance, which is phenomenal.
That's the big thing, isn't it? If we lose back-to-back Premier League games, we're 9 points behind.
And listen, I know people will be screaming at the monitor now, but we've done it time after time after time. We can't listen. The law of averages is we ain't going to keep doing this comeback king. I've got a sneaky feeling we're going to do it. I think it'll be a close one. I think it's going to be very nervy. But I can see it probably being a 1-0 or a 2-1. I think it's going to be a real close game. But I think for me, KDB and Foden being back is the wild card in this for us. I really do think they will turn up. I think we're going in as slight underdogs as well, which I think is a big thing. And like you said, it goes back to 2-3 years ago when De Bruyne smacked that, wild shot in top bins and away he went, and we all saw, Brandon going crazy on the whatever, on the documentary. So for me, I can just see a replay of that all over again.
Ryan?
Yeah, we're going to win 2-0. You're going to have a lovely front three with Grealish and De Bruyne and Foden. It's going to work beautifully. We're going to have plenty of creativity. and we're going to run runs around them.
I live for your confidence, lads. Unfortunately, I've lived a lot longer, and I'm not feeling it. I hope and pray for a 1-1 draw.